Yeah, I planted 14 iris this morning.
Oh.
So now I have about 30 going out there.
Oh, that's nice.
Hopefully in the spring, it will be a bed of color.
All right, we're Facebook Live now.
Hey,
So,
the business of the day. Israel muted. Should we mute ourselves?
Yeah, I think so, because she's gonna play music.
All right, here we go. Play.
It's burning inside, the hurting and the suffering. Minds creating anger, fear, and pain, suffocating our times. The tougher it gets, the rougher social media cries. But we see to it that we tweeting only negative lines. We're sick and tired of history, but repeating it twice. Greed, anger, and violence clearly stealing our nights. Feeling it tight between the shoulders with a chill in the spine. Pinching myself, waking up, trying to stop the rewind and move forward towards stories, overcoming our fears. Choosing love over hate, praying, trading hugs over tears. There's only one choice, breaking down the walls and repair every broken heart on this planet till there's no longer fear. Walls can't hold us in. Fear can't keep us down. Love will rise again. Yeah, it's rising right now. We shall overcome. Every time I think it's gonna take much longer, we shall overcome. Every time I question, am I getting stronger? We have just begun. Wanna make a change, we gotta push much farther. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Whoa. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Young Gandhi couldn't fathom how to deal with himself when he was thrown off the train and the pain that he felt. Mrs. Parks disrespected, dragged into jail because of the color of her skin, organs, tissues, and cells. One day, a young girl was shot on a bus by a man, a terrorist, part of the Taliban. He said, on this land, you have no right to stand for what you believe in. Girls have no chance here. Well, now, that's just the story of three souls who shook our planet after being down on their knees. And it's not gonna stop. Those seeds have now become trees, and as human beings, we'll keep on digging till we find peace. Yeah, the cynics always say that nothing ever changes. The human nature's bound to stay the same. But it couldn't be more plain. The violence never pays. Injustice never stays. It's bound to fade away. What if history awaits? What if today's the day? We already know the way. So let's all lead the way. We shall overcome. Every time I think it's gonna take much longer, we shall overcome. Every time I question, am I getting stronger? We have just begun. Gotta make a change, we gotta push much farther. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Come on. I will carry on. Yeah, I will carry on. Long after we're gone, the roots of the tree we plant will be strong. Yeah, yeah, come on. Yeah, we shall overcome. We shall overcome. Yeah, we shall overcome. Sing along. We cannot just keep on. I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Makes me wanna sing now. We shall overcome. Every time I think it's gonna take much longer, we shall overcome. Every time I question, am I getting stronger? We shall overcome someday. 'Cause I'm feeling it deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. I do believe. I do believe. I do believe. We must learn greed before we learn to be human, to do wrong deeds before we learn to spread beauty. There's always a plan, and now it's time to take a stand for the right of the planet, every woman and man. We ain't gonna stop, only growing our demands for all beings to feel peace in every heart and land. Thank you, Lord, for the strength and the courage to bring us together and keep our souls nourished. These tough times will only drown in our voice, because we all believe that the truth is before us. We shall overcome this pain. We shall overcome this day. We pray for love to lead the way. We shall overcome. We pray for love to lead the way.
Boy, what I have to say is that we shall overcome, and they say on the song someday, but what we can overcome today is what's in our hearts and souls, which of course I'm talking to the choir, right? We all know that we start right here. Hi everybody, so good to see you.
Hi.
So let's see if I can get back to my talk notes. We'll give this a try. Okay, can't minimize Zoom when you're in recording mode. Okay, here we go. So I've been so frustrated and angry lately. And we all get frustrated at times, don't we? Admit it.
Yeah.
Sometimes even more frustrated, more than frustrated. Sometimes just irritable. Sometimes grumpy, a little grumpy, sometimes downright pissed, right? Enraged, madder than hell, like a wet mother hen. Yes, I'm aware I'm combining two sayings. There's a madder than a wet hen, because hens get really mad when they're wet. And then the mother hen that's really protective over her eggs and all that. So yeah, madder than a wet hen, because I'm combining both of those. Yeah, a wet mother hen. And I did that for purpose, for effect. I'm madder than a wet hen. Do I sound mad? So when does your anger show its face? When does it rear its ugly head? I've been told that there's something inside me. There's a fierce lioness. So mother hen, fierce lioness, that comes out when I'm protective. Like one time there was something going on in our Unity community, and I jumped into action, and I was saying, over my dead body, will you destroy what we built here? And I went into action, and Reverend Gail Theron said to me, wow, you're like a fierce lioness when it comes to protecting this Unity community. And I went, oh yeah, I guess I am. Didn't know I had it in me. But it comes out when I'm feeling protective over my Unity community, or over a person who's being bullied or oppressed, or an animal, like my kid brother, BJ, standing for Ben Johnson. When we were kids, I was always pretty easygoing and shy. And we were on the bus going to school one day, and he was sitting in the seat behind me, and these two boys were bullying him. And I was always very protective over him. And I turned around and got up on the seat, hanging over the back of his seat with my knees on the seat. And I looked at those two boys, and my brother was telling me this tale the other day because I had forgotten. And I said, well, BJ, what did I say to those boys? And he said, well, I don't remember exactly what you said, but I will say this, those boys never bullied me again. So I have it in me. I had it in me then. It just comes out. It just naturally when I'm protective, and it just breaks my heart to see stories of gay man being tied to a fence and tortured till he's dead. It just breaks my heart. Or an abused child. or an abused woman or man, animals. Reading the story the other day about someone had glued the kitten's paws to the road. I just had trouble with that. Breaks my heart for the Muslims and the Jews, the African Americans that are threatened with nooses. I mean, does that stuff really still go on? Oh my. Heil Hitler salutes still go on at sporting events. Swastikas, KKK, young people chanting things like build the wall, you're getting deported, while they're pointing to Latinos. It just is beyond my imagination that that stuff still goes on. In 2020, hate seems to be on the rise. And it's such a challenge to stop the bullying, to stop the hate, to move toward a welcoming, inclusive places, safe places for people to be, an attitude, an environment, a nation. The bullying needs to stop. And it needs to be healed. Both the aggressor and the aggressee, whenever possible, whatever way possible, whatever it takes, with compassion, etc. And when we feel ourselves becoming incensed by bullying, what is the most effective things for us to do for ourselves, for others, for humanity, for humankind? I was talking with our communications director, Linda Hadley, the other day. We were texting, and I told her I was going to talk about this, and she said, well, what's your matter than a wet mother hen? What's that going to be about so I can advertise it? And I said, I told her it's about bullying, really, if you come down to it. And she said, bullying? I'm not certain I can come up with a sentence. And I said, you need to have one sentence. And she said, I'm not certain I can come up with one sentence to advertise our website adequately, to adequately encompass what we do to overcome bullying, other than love your neighbor. And she said, we're inundated with so much fear, it becomes difficult to remain hopeful, isn't it? And I said, that's a tough one. I don't have it all figured out either yet. This is still Monday, but I will by the end of the week. I'll have together some things we can do, some ideas. There are some things we can do. There are some things we must do. For one thing, we can start by not being passive. No longer can we be neutral because the bullying has gotten out of hand. And when we're neutral and passive, saying, oh, I don't want to deal with that. That doesn't affect me. That neutrality signifies that we are agreeing. When maybe we don't feel the agreeing so much, but that's what it signifies to the aggressor, to the bully. And this comes kind of out of a class that we took last week through our region, the Unity Regional Board, put on a class, anti-racist versus non-racist. And I came out of that class having a greater awareness. I can no longer be numb. I can no longer walk through half asleep, oblivious, just saying, oh, I don't have time to deal with that right now. I can no longer do that because I have a greater awareness now of the pain behind it all, the pain in my own heart. And that class ignited in me the feeling of it, not just the intellect of it. And Linda said to me, well, today I'm going to start my 7 simple steps that interrupt patterns of fear. It's something she gets from A Course in Miracles. Jennifer Hadley, who is one of her mentors. And she said, I've been so depressed by the hatred and I need to rise above. And I said to her, yay for you. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We need to take the action just as you are doing, any kind, but an action that's fits our unique personality. We all take action in a different way. What might be right for me wouldn't be right for you. I'll talk more about that. How to stop the bullying and the hatred. One thing we can do is try to open up the dialogue. I didn't hear parents teach me how to speak openly in a safe environment in a healthy way about religion and politics at the dinner table. So I never allowed it at my dinner table. But I wish I had had good models and learned to be able to do that. So now I want to help people feel safe and open up the dialogue, help people find their voice, whatever that voice is, and help people appreciate their own identities, their own backgrounds, whatever that may be. Help people learn to develop acceptance for the diversity of others. What can my action be? It can be to incorporate it into a Sunday talk, to start with my own consciousness around it. Teach bystanders to be upstanders. Teach bystanders to be upstanders. Wow. We can promote empathy and diversity. And we can learn safe, healthy ways to speak up. We can teach healthy ways to speak up. We can model safe, healthy ways of speaking up. We can model and learn how to discuss safe, healthy ways to discuss these things rather than to allow such hatred to exist among us that just tears apart our beingness. So I got this from an old Daily Word archive. I just love I can go into unity.org and get into the archives. And this one, I don't have the date written down, but it was like maybe 1928. So it says that a surfer harnesses the ocean's power. The ocean's power to complete their exhilarating ride to the shore. I too place myself within the divine wave of God's power. I don't move in front by forcing my will, nor do I hold back out of fear or insecurity. Only when I center myself in the wave can I discern the answer, the direction that I seek. I can let go into that magnificent power and let God help me ride that wave, that inner guidance, that inner direction to do what is mine. Leaving the greater part to God, I can listen to my intuitive knowing. I can heed the guidance that I receive and then follow through the inner promptings with deliberate, purposeful action. From Psalms 31, verse 3, you are indeed my rock, my fortress. For your name's sake, lead, guide me. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about Unity's fifth principle. Unity teachers can be boiled down somewhat to 5 principles. I'm not going to go into those all 5 today. They're on our website. But I'm going to go into the 5th principle, which is it's not enough to pray and meditate all day long. I mean, that's a step in the right direction, but then we have to live it. We have to act. In Ellen Davenport's book called The 5 Principles, I don't know if you can see this. The 5 Principles, Ellen Davenport. She says to live the truth means to express God. Wow. And the teachings are useless unless we practice them in the real world. So teach it, act it, live it, express it. So 4 of the 5 principles The first four are about a shift in consciousness, in our consciousness, before changing our behavior. And even the fifth principle may or may not mean charging out to save the planet. It may or may not, depending on what your unique personality gives you to do, what God tells you is yours to do. But the goal is to consciously live, consciously in the awareness of the divine, and take action as guided by your inner being, even knowing that we so often don't express perfectly. We still express. And it's more about living it. Or living it is more about being it than doing. It's how you show up for whatever you choose to do. So when you're living it, you come from a consciousness of spirit and oneness, ego in service to the soul. So principles 1 through 4 in Unity, they make a handy checklist before you take action. So each time you're ready to take action, you can go, okay, principle 1, am I in this principle? Am I in number 2? Am I living this one and this one? Before we do principle 5. And any action that feels forced is likely not from divine. Any action that feels impulsive or too overly emotional is likely not from divine. And acting from divine brings a reassuring sense that I'm on the right track, even when others object. It's not stubbornly exerting your will. It might, though, be beating to your own drummer or following your own star. It might be that. But it's about consciousness first, then acting, taking action as inspired by spirit within you. Spiritual action does not demand marching in the streets. It doesn't demand that, marching in the streets against something, although some people do it that way. And that's all well and good if that's their thing. But what it does mean is integrating our divine essence into ordinary, annoying daily living with its drudgery and its confusion and its difficult people. How do we apply these principles? I mean, how do we do that when we're sick, when we're broke, when we're heartbroken, when we're scared, when we're angry, or when we're apathetic? How do we make these choices day in, day out in alignment with God so that we can create that kingdom of heaven on earth in here that gives us such peace, such relief? Everyone's different. We each came to earth with a different purpose, a different path. We choose different options about how to take action, how to live it. And the only guideline to choose whatever keeps you in positive vibration. This is the only guideline, really. And how do I know when I'm in that vibration? Well, the shorthand answer is this: good feels good and bad feels bad. Didn't know it could be that simple, did you? I didn't. It's about living from the soul and not from ego. And when you're living from the soul and not ego, you feel a sense of gratitude and contentment, sometimes even exhilaration. You feel this sense that all is right with the world, no matter what the appearance is. You feel you are more aware of the divine within. And when we're making ourselves feel bad through words and actions and negative thoughts, it usually means we're trapped in ego, disconnected. Bad feels bad. You know, so often crusades to change the world so often don't work well because those kinds of crusades set up resistance too often. Angry resistance is usually met with angry resistance. Peace begets peace. Violence begets violence. That kind of activism often stems from resistance or a collection of personal wounds and baggage that never were dealt with or accepted or acknowledged or dealt with or healed at the time, and it's still there. And Eckhart Tolle calls that a pain body that's still there. And sometimes people have dense pain bodies from so much pain that never was healed or dealt with. And sometimes these people become activists fighting for a cause. And that cause may indeed be worthy. And fighting for a worthy cause is a noble and good thing. It's how you fight for that cause. So for these people with these strong pain bodies, they have an unconscious need to have enemies and to have conflict. And that need tends to generate increasing opposition to their cause. And they even tend to create enemies within their own organization, their own family, their own group of friends, their own people, because wherever they go, they find reasons to feel bad. So the pain body continues to find exactly what it's looking for. A pain body equals ego on the march. A pain body equals self-will run riot. Or you could say self-will run rampant. From Psalms 34, verse 14. Seek peace, pursue it. The action actually starts inside. That's the first action. And if enough people begin to be peaceful, peace will erupt on earth just as violence does now. So we can try seeing the divinity in others. We can treat each other person as a Messiah in disguise. Have some fun with it. We can spend time alone to remember our own connection to spirit. And we can move our ego aside to let divine flow through when we're in that quiet alone time, like I do in my bathtub. We can focus on peace and harmony and love. Focus on those things. Because you know, when you focus on what you dislike, it empowers that very thing. It grows whether you focus on the positive or the negative. The emotional energy packs a wallop more than the content of our thoughts. The emotional energy packs a wallop more than the content of our thoughts. This is metaphysics, which is going beyond the physical. I'm going to read just a little excerpt from Ellen's book, The Five Principles. Thank you so much, Ellen, for this beautiful writing. Now, this book was written back in 2000. When did I say? 2000. Oh, shoot. 12. 2009. I don't know when it was first written. So she says, back in 2009, for example, leaders are elected physically with our votes, but metaphysically through our collective consciousness. Suppose candidates A and B are running for president of the United States. Half the country is voting for A. The other half not only supports B instead, but despises A. The poll says it's a toss-up, but candidate A will take office because of the tremendous emotional focus on him or her. Both sides are choosing candidate A with their attention and their emotion. Both are providing energetic support for A, whether they go into the voting booth or not. Half are creating the outcome they want, while half are creating what they don't want through their fear, resistance, and negativity. We create both ways through positive and negative vibration. Written back in 2009, or maybe even earlier that I can tell. Wow. So next step, what would be? We could withdraw our energy, and then it will leave our experience, that energy, negative energy or positive energy or whatever. We can withdraw our negative energy, and then that negative energy will leave our experience, what we're vibrating outward, the vibes we're putting out there. And you say, well, but we've got to do something. This has to be stopped. It's bad. It's wrong. I would be cold and selfish not to care. I'm not saying not to care. I'm saying be careful how you care. Ask yourself, am I caring through resistance or support? Yeah, support. Yes, do that through lobbying, through consumer spending, whatever. But just don't mistake resistance for support. Make sure that any action comes from an energy of what you are for. It's tricky because you may be surrounded by people that are energized by their resistance. But acting from positive vibration feels better, and it has much more lasting effects. Reading again an excerpt from Ellen's book. Okay. Imagine this. Picture this. You are at a buffet table laden with food. Some of it you like, and some of it you don't. Would you throw a tantrum about the food you don't like, insisting that it be removed? Would you condemn the people who enjoy that particular dish? Or would you simply focus on what you do like and ignore the rest? In some cases, to live it may not require physical action at all. Sometimes it may only require metaphysical. And an energy shift always precedes physical changes. So beginning with a metaphysical energy shift in your consciousness, that kind of an energy shift always precedes a physical shift that we see out in the world. So it means a shift in our collective consciousness, not just ours, but the collective consciousness out there in the world. So when a tipping point happens in the collective awareness, outward change then begins to happen. So looking at the terrorist attacks of 9/11, that was from a physical decision from a small group. It happened physically, but here's what happened metaphysically behind that. Again, from Ellen's books. Those people who did that reflected the human consciousness of violence, a world awash in anger, fear, and resistance, and the widespread belief that problems are solved by killing the perceived perpetrators. Hence the term mass consciousness. When beliefs or attitudes are held by nearly everyone, they will inevitably erupt into the physical world, just as a volcano releases the energy pent up below the Earth's surface. This is what happened when Hitler was allowed to commit such atrocities, when so many people went along with it, because it was the collective consciousness. We may take turns claiming the roles of perpetrator and victim, but we are all participating in the creation. Living it might mean swimming upstream against the mass consciousness. It means, though, staying healthy despite bombardment of TV. It might mean loving others despite daily examples of inhumanity. It might mean living it may or may not be making outward changes. What often happens is that people living in the consciousness of divinity often don't take action as much as they provide services. They see what needs to be done and they begin to do it, unnoticed, unsung. Not out to right wrongs or change the system, but to just pitch in and do what they can to help an imperfect world. Jesus said, be in the world, not of it, which is another way to say live from the soul, not the ego. Checking out completely doesn't help, but neither does immersing ourselves in hysteria. Living in fear or anger is the worst consciousness we could ever create for the world that we really want. So bless them. Send them all involved. Send them positive, loving energy. Pray, what is mine to do? Or pray, show me my perfect place of service. Ask for guidance. Then wait and see whether you feel called to action or how you might feel called to action. Eventually you will know from the urging of that divine within you, from that inner voice that's as familiar as a best friend. Whether you get off the couch and do something, feel it first and then watch it transpire. Close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. From James 4, verse 8, it says, draw near to God, and God will draw near to you. Close the gap. And this means take action first. Life is not a waiting room. I'm going to start a piece of music now that I came into last night that is just perfect. It's called Just Like That. Just Like That. And then after this piece of music, we'll move into our spiritual cafe. If you choose to stay with us, we talk about anything that came up for you during today's talk. We talk about spirituality, metaphysics, mysticism, or laugh at each other's jokes, whatever your heart desires. So as soon as this music is done, this will give you a chance to get a cup of coffee, and we'll continue on into our spiritual cafe. If you choose to join us, stay tuned.
History lesson number one. There's not a thing that can't be done. Somewhere in this world of doubt, someone's gonna work it out. There you go. Just like that. We learn to crawl, we learn to walk. We learn to fly at Kitty Hawk. Next thing you know, one afternoon, we're driving golf balls on the moon. There you go. Just like that. We learned how to take our dreams, turn them into fine machines. There's one thing we haven't done. We haven't learned to live as one. Stand behind our borderlines and talk about it all the time. History lesson number two. Not what you say, but what you do. There you go. Just like that. Learn how to take our dreams and turn them into flying machines. There's one thing we haven't done. We haven't learned to live as one. Try to find peace through war, although it's never worked before. If we want peace, we've got to start to heal the hurt in every heart. There you go. Just like that.
Just like that. All right. I'm going to take myself off camera here for a moment while I move inside. So I'm just wondering if, Susan, are you here? Yes, you're here. Would you kick off the discussion while I move myself inside?
I'm here. Yeah, Sheila.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure if she asked me to start the discussion. I think I'm having glitches, but does
No.
anybody have something they strongly want to respond to about the talk? Just unmute yourself and jump in.
I thought Ford put out the name of that band that was just playing there, or the name of the people in that. Are you on, Tim?
Oh, the name of the band?
Yeah, I saw that he had him,
It's by Kieran Kane,
Green
Kane.
Kane and Kevin Welch.
Yes.
Is that somebody local or is that
I don't know. Tim listens to music on his way to his long commute every day, and he comes up with these pieces that are not in the mainstream. And this one he played for me a few days ago, and I went, yes, one thing we haven't done is learn to live as one.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah. Kieran Kane, and what was the other name?
Kevin Welch.
Yeah, and it's called, the name of this particular piece is called Just Like That.
Just like that.
Yeah.
I looked them up. I don't think they're local. Looks like they're in Nashville.
Oh,
Or
really?
they were at one point. So yeah, I don't think they're from here. Yeah. So
Did you like that song?
Yeah, it's good.
I'm still getting myself set up. So,
Everybody else is still muted.
well, my video is because I've moved inside, and because Tim says he wants to fire up his barbecue grill and it's going to be loud. He's starting to cook already.
I love Linda's new picture.
I know, I was noticing that too. That is one.
That's
Yeah.
Like
gorgeous.
Amelia Earhart.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's very cute.
So I had to show her I voted early too.
Oh,
Yay.
got mine.
Yes, a week ago.
Yeah, same here.
Me too. I mailed mine though. I took it to Greens. They have a drop box, an official one at Greens Nutrition.
Yeah, that was pretty scary.
Yeah, an
And
official
but
one.
you don't get a sticker. You don't get a sticker that way.
Oh, I did.
you go.
Yeah, it was right by the drop
I
box.
voted by mail and got a sticker.
Maybe I didn't pay enough.
Someone sends it out. So when you
Can
send
I
it back, you
join
take
in this
the
now?
sticker.
I think
Yes.
this was
Go
in the
back.
mail.
Yes, you can.
So join, Liz, join.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if I'd gotten the mute off or not, since I can't see the little guy. You guys talking about voting? Yes, I voted a week ago.
Good.
Yeah,
Amen.
yeah.
It comes in the mail
So
with your ballot.
put it in
Yeah.
the mail, yes.
Sheila,
I'll
do you
say-
want us to be still live on Facebook? Because
Oh.
it's showing that we still are.
Thank you.